All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I'm here with Robbie Shoults. Robbie, welcome. So awesome to have you on the show today.
Wow, Kevin, thank you for having me, man. I'm so excited to share my story with you guys, and I hope you enjoy it. Because look, it's 83 years worth of story, so I don't know where we're going to start, but I hope we got plenty of time, is all I can say.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I just want to start by just giving a shout out to Raquel. And how do you pronounce Raquel's last name? Is it Brusolo? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yes, sir.
Wow, I got it. That
You
makes me
got it. You
feel good.
nailed it, brother.
And Raquel, I had put a post on the quoted platform a little while ago, and I just found out about that platform like a year and a half ago from a friend of mine, and it's been a really amazing experience. I have met some amazing podcast guests from that platform,
Yeah.
and Raquel reached out to me and told me about you, and she shared a couple of your videos, and like, man, I was sold right from the get-go, Robbie, because I'm like, here's a guy who's just like me. He's a rock star at what he does. They do some really cool stuff, and he's just a down-to-earth family guy, just making his biggest impact in this world. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
so I'm looking forward to having this conversation today,
Well,
Robbie.
Kevin, you're making my hat tight, brother, is all I can tell you.
Well, I'll tell you what. So you mentioned something. This is like a legacy business. This is a family business and stuff.
Yeah.
So rather than asking the typical question that I usually start an interview, which is what do you do and who do you serve? I'm asking you how did you get involved in this in the first place, and like when did it start for you?
Kevin, it started as a kid. I grew up in this business. My family has always been in farming and ranching and meat processing and all that, ever since I can remember, and for generations actually. And so, when you live out here on the farm where there's nothing else close, no town, or we didn't have all the things that you would get normally in a city or whatever. So, we were just required to grow up out here on the farm and work and help it on it, because it wasn't always easy. I'll tell you
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I grew up in Arlington, Washington, and just small town farm kid myself. Grew up working on
Yeah.
my friend's parents' farm and stuff. They had a 360 acre crop farm, and
Yeah.
I spent years of my life driving back and forth in those fields on those tractors.
Yes,
And
sir.
so
Yes, sir. But
and
you know what, Kevin, you learn so much from that. You
yeah,
learn
yep,
accountability, responsibility, work ethic, and all the things
yeah.
that's so important to being successful in life, I
You
believe.
bet. You bet. You bet. So tell us a little bit about, yeah, what your family business is all about, and
Yeah.
what you guys do.
Sure. I'll just briefly go over the history, how it got
Yeah,
started, if that's okay,
you
because
bet.
it is an interesting story. So, around the turn of the century, my great granddad bought all the property out here where our headquarters is on. It was a couple of thousand acres back in the day, and some of it has gotten out of the family over the years. My granddad's brother was given some, he sold it back in the 40s, but. Uh, my great granddad told my grandfather, he said, and this was when he was a teenager. He said, I'll give you that land out there if you'll go work it. Well, the little community they lived in was about 15 miles from here where the present day farm is. And
Okay.
my granddad would saddle up a horse every day and ride over here from Hallsville, and he would meet locals, and they used crosscut saws to bring the timber down. They used mules and to drag the timber off, get it hauled and all that kind of stuff. And he started planting cotton and corn.
Okay.
And he had hogs and cattle, and he had a big garden where and this look, this didn't happen overnight. This is over a few years' time.
Yeah.
And he had a big truck garden that he would sell vegetables to the grocery stores and what have you. And just coming out of the Depression and World War II, that little era right in there, things were not looking good out here, way out in the country, where they were practically the only ones living out here, having a hard time putting food on the table. He had, several kids by that time. And So he was struggling, scratching his head, like, what can I do to put more food on the table and to be successful? He had an uncle, my granddad had an uncle out in Grapeland, Texas, that was an agriculture teacher. And he told my granddad, he said, you can put more pounds of gain on a turkey than you can hogs and cattle per pound of feed fed. In other words, the feed conversion was better
Mhm.
on these big meat birds. So he took that advice to heart. And in 1943, he and my grandmom got about, I believe it was around 600 day old, like turkey poults. About,
Okay.
yep. Brought them in, didn't know anything about the business. They lost a bunch, but they were lucky enough to get them fed out. And come, Thanksgiving or whatever, they had a bunch of big live birds with a short feed period, from about June to November, which,
Okay.
if you're feeding out cattle, it takes a lot longer
Yeah. Yeah.
than that, to grow them out. So those first few years, he actually sold turkeys like on foot, or he would, take the feathers off and everything for people. And he would actually have little ladies come out from town with their roasting pans, and
Wow.
they would be looking around. My granddad's nickname was Hick Shoults. And they would bring out their roasting pans and they'd be walking out in the turkeys, and little old lady would say, Hick, I think that one will fit in my roasting pan. And he would say, Yes, ma'am, I'll go catch it for you. So he would
That
get
is
it
awesome.
and send it back to town. And then, the business kind of grew over the years with that. And he actually worked with Texas A&M and developed some recipes for curing and smoking turkeys. And that's when the business just took off. He built a little processing plant, built a little one-room smokehouse that just smoked a few turkeys, and word spread. And, but still, if you think about it, that's still a pretty seasonal business because people just, they don't really want smoked turkeys any other time than Thanksgiving
Sure.
and Christmas normally. So, he was raising hogs, so they would make sausage and bacon and all the things, pork, and
Mhm.
they just kept developing and expanding their product line over the years, and it's, just developed into this big, beautiful business, where we supply salt pork to um, over 2,000 Walmarts and Publix
Wow.
out on the East Coast. And,
Yep.
that's some wholesale part of our business. And then Kroger, some other local grocery chains and what have you that are local here to Texas. And anyway, and then we built this big general store back in 2018. And now um, we call ourselves the finest tourist trap in Texas. It's a great spot. And brother, if you are ever in East Texas, I'll make it worth your while to stop by here because it's a great business. We've got everything from A to Z. I want to tell you some of the best barbecue in Texas that we can serve you, and the hospitality, the customer service, the surroundings on the ranch out here, and just the view is absolutely amazing. We've got Texas Longhorns out front, where kids come in and they can buy a little bag of feed and go out there and feed them through the fence. So it's a true Texas experience. And I would invite anyone traveling through our neck of the woods to please stop by.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. So do
Yeah.
people like do they come from around the US then come visit there and stuff?
Sir, we have had people from around the globe visiting. Yeah.
That is so awesome. That
Yeah.
is so awesome.
It is so awesome for us to be able to share our little slice of heaven
Yeah.
with everybody that comes by,
Yeah.
because it's something that like over the years, maybe you take for granted a little bit because we're so used to it. But growing up on a farm is an experience that I wouldn't trade for anything. I would not take
Absolutely.
any amount of money for my raising.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Yeah.
with you. I'm with you because you're right. Man, well, and I shared with you before we hit the record button, that because, we're both from small towns and we're both farm kids
Yeah.
and you're right. Growing up on the farm, man, it taught you responsibility. It taught you resourcefulness because you know what? A farmer, my friend Gary, his dad, Mike, and Mike is still alive to this day. Now he don't
Uh-huh.
farm anymore. He's retired now, and Gary
Yeah.
runs the farm. But my
Yeah.
my son works on that farm now during the
Okay.
summertime, and it's really cool. But a farmer, when they are incredibly resourceful, because if a piece of equipment breaks down, they're going to get that equipment back out in that field, and they're not going to wait to like some mechanic to come and figure it out. They got a
Right.
whole shop, and they got all the tools, and they build
Yep.
stuff, man. They will
Yeah.
fabricate.
Yeah. And that's the way we really are with our meat processing plant too. We have our own shop with, lathe, all the welders and plasma cutters and all the stuff, And like I say, we're a little ways out, so we're just resourceful and try to fix all of our own stuff that we can. And um, we're so far out, Amazon can't even parachute to us. I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's we grew up not being able to rely on all that stuff, and so did
Sure.
you. So it teaches you a lot.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, sir.
So what inspires you most about just running this family business and stuff?
Well, it's a legacy thing for me. I think, Kevin, my granddad did a great job of it. My dad did an excellent job of it, and I wanted to carry on that family tradition and keep that legacy alive and just show people what we do. And, to show everybody that our doors are always open and we welcome everybody from all walks of life in here and just want, like I said earlier, just to serve them a little slice of our life out here in East Texas.
Yeah, yeah.
And I might also mention that my son is also involved in the business. He's the fourth generation over here at the plant, and he runs everyday operations of the meat processing plant.
That's awesome. And
Yeah.
so is your role, if I understand right, and from what I've seen, it looks like you're kind of the spokesman for the company and stuff. That you're doing interviews. I saw clips of you like on the Today Show and stuff. So you get some pretty big media coverage, and that seems like what you enjoy doing and stuff.
I do enjoy. I love telling the story. It to me, it's such a beautiful story and of hard work and endurance and faith and all the things. And I feel like that's part of my calling.
Yeah.
And like I say, and my son Hunter, has made some appearances with me, like on Today's Show and. The Rachel Ray show. We've cooked together on there a
I
couple of
saw
times.
that too. I saw that
Yeah.
too.
Which is so awesome. But he enjoys production. He loves trying to figure out efficiencies in our meat processing plant. So he does a great job with that. And I leave all that up to him. And sometimes I call in the big guns when I need some help on an interview. He'll help me.
Uh-huh. Well,
Yes,
there you
sir.
go. So
Yeah.
with from your current vantage point, what's your vision for the business going forward from here?
Well, my vision would be is continue to share the message of Bear Creek and what we believe in, and for just to kind of help get this thing set up where it continues into the future, and that we have family members that are going to step in and keep this thing rolling.
Yeah.
I think my granddad and my dad would be proud. Hopefully,
Yeah. That's
yeah,
awesome. That's awesome.
yes,
Well,
sir.
so now that we've got a little bit of context set here, and listeners, if they didn't know of you before, now they got a little bit of idea of what you're all about, and I want to switch gears just a little bit. I want to start talking about the relationship side of this whole thing.
Okay.
So, Robbie, have you ever met or been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
Oh, yeah. Oh, of course. And you're gonna know the answer to this already, Kevin. But
Okay.
my dad and my granddad taught me so much growing up that and I want to start out by saying this. My son does not have a college education. I don't have one. My father didn't have one, nor my granddad. But the things that they taught us here out here on the farm can't be taught in a university,
Yeah.
in a classroom. And look, I love education. For me, it would be a great personal accomplishment if I had a degree in something or another. But I really don't think it would have changed the dynamics of this business, how it operated, because it's all about passion and endurance and perseverance and all those things that you have to continue to make a business thrive and grow from year to year. And, the answer to your question would be my dad and granddad. And, that, and I will never take credit away from them because they are the ones that laid this foundation for this business. It's got a great foundation, and then we have been able to build on that over the years. And I wouldn't be where I was at if it weren't for them.
Yeah. So let's dig into this a little bit deeper. What is an I'm going to ask this question in regard to your grandfather and in regard to your dad, but what is an experience from when you were younger that just really stands out for you as, just really memorable, something that happened with you and your grandfather when you were younger?
That influenced me in some sort of.
Yes, yes, that had a big influence on you.
Yeah, well, I guess, it was his, just the drive that he had to be out there every day. And, we had a lot of people working for us.
Okay.
And the thing that I learned from him is, um, he wasn't a supervisor. He wasn't out there lording with them. He was being a leader and showing them how to do it. And he
Hmm.
worked with them in the field all day, every day. And so to me, that's one thing that I've tried to, um, to apply to myself. A quality I've tried to apply to myself is to, don't tell somebody how to do it, show them how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
I think that's the way you can be an effective leader is to not, sit back and you know, judge how somebody's going to do their job. Now, that doesn't mean nowadays, I know we all are busy with other things, but there is a way to show people how that you know how to walk in those shoes and you know how to do their job and you know what they're up against in this particular position or whatever. Because I'm going to tell you, over the years that I've been here, I've done every single job that there is on this place to do,
Yep. Yep.
and so I think that's one of the great things that I learned from my granddad, and
Yeah.
I think it was a great quality. And
You bet.
he never set himself above anybody else. He was always out there with the guys, working right alongside them.
Yeah. You bet. So, what's an experience you had between you and your dad when you were younger that just really influenced your life in a really big way?
Well, and I've been thinking about that a little bit too when I was answering the question about my granddad. It's my granddad or my dad had a lot of sayings, and they made so much sense. Sometimes they need to sink in for a year or two, but my dad, we've been in the food business forever, right? So um, the thing with food, if you want to keep people coming back, it's got to be great. It's got to be consistent. It's the food safety issue is there, and all those things have to be, the I's dotted and the T's crossed in every aspect. But one thing that always stuck with me with my dad, he always told me, he said, it doesn't cost any more to make it taste good.
Mm.
He he would and another one, he said, everything that you produce out of this processing plant is going to be reduced down to one single bite. And
Wow.
he's so right
Yeah.
on that,
Yeah.
because he would he would have, people that would make him a pie or whatever. My dad loves sweets, okay? He would make a pie or they'd make him a pie or whatever, and he'd take a bite of it. He said, man, I wish they'd put some sugar in that because he had a real sweet tooth.
Hmm.
And he wasn't
Hmm.
criticizing, he was just saying, it's like I'm talking about with our food. It
Yeah.
only takes maybe a spoonful of sugar more to make it like over the top. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, those are some things that I always remembered, and he always reminded me to treat people the way that I wanted to be treated. And I
Yeah.
think that is a prime thing that we should all live by all the time, and
Yeah.
just show others respect and treat them the way you want to be treated. So,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So, so it, I'm just like, so you mentioned your products are in Walmart and stuff. So, like,
Yeah,
might they be in the Walmart in my neck of the woods here and stuff?
it's very possible. I'm not sure our exact coverage, but we're in a lot of stores, and now the products that are in Walmart are a more commodity type product. It's cured salt pork, which you use for seasoning beans and vegetables, turnip greens, that kind of stuff. But so it's not a real glamorous product, but
Okay.
we do have nationwide coverage on it, and there's a lot of pounds of that product consumed. Year
Okay.
after year. Yeah.
So if somebody wanted to taste some of your best stuff, what's the
Yeah.
best way for them to do that?
Oh, well, I'll tell you exactly what you need to do is go to go to our website,
Okay.
bearcreeksmokehouse.com, and get on there. And, we've got everything that we make here at the plant is listed on the website. And
Okay.
we've got some tasty stuff, and we can ship it right from Texas right to your front door, right up there in Washington or wherever you want to have it shipped to.
Yep.
So, like I say, we've been doing this a long time, and we've got a lot of experience at it. And we're just always welcoming people to stop in and chew the fat with us, or if you want to order something online, we're happy to ship you something. You can, and then all the products are available right here in the store. I would encourage people to follow us on YouTube and Instagram. We
Mhm.
have a beautiful cookbook, Bare Bottom Bliss, 5 generations of food, family, and faith. And it is an amazing collection of recipes from my grandmothers, my aunts, my mom, and just all kinds of family relatives. We've got Bible verses included, and then we've got, I call them Texas tall tales, but a lot of tales of me growing up out here on the place.
Okay. Okay. Very
Yeah.
cool. Very cool. And
Yes,
Raquel had
sir.
shared a bunch of links with me, your social media links, website, and so I'll
You
make
bet.
sure that we include all of
Yeah.
that with the show notes and stuff with the podcast. So if you're listening to this and you want to check it out, just go look at the show notes. All the links that he talked about, they're there just waiting on you and stuff. And so,
That's
so
awesome.
Bobby, any last thing that you feel led to share before we call it a wrap?
Oh man, I just again thank you for having me. And it's, we're just living the great American dream down here in Texas. It is just amazing. We're so blessed, and we love company here at the General Store. I'll give you just a brief rundown on the store. It's about
Yeah.
17,000 square feet. We've got, hand dipped ice cream. We make homemade fudge here. And then the pit room is out back. My wife has reclassified me from collector to hoarder. Okay. So I collect antique signs and general store
Okay.
memorabilia, display cases, all the things. So our whole building here on the inside is everything repurposed. And so
Okay.
we've taken other old warehouses that have been torn down and repurposed all that building material into what we call the Bear Creek General Store, and it's absolutely amazing. And the ceiling height in here is 42 feet from floor to the peak.
Oh, wow.
It's just it's expansive, and we've got a lot of Texas souvenirs in here, and then great merchandise from all over the country.
Okay. That's awesome. That's awesome. So they can come on out to the store and come out to the farm and stuff. And
That's right,
that's
you
awesome.
bet. Come on out. We're about 9 miles northwest of Marshall on Highway
Okay. All
54.
right.
Yes, sir.
Well, Bobby, I want to thank you so much for just taking the time to have this conversation today. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you. And I'm excited to get this out there and share it with folks. So thanks so much, man.
All right, you betcha. Thank you, Kevin.
You bet.